Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It's December 31st, 2014, and I think this is a good time to reflect back on some of our more memorable moments of 2014. And here I have a list of 5. Now, I can't even say this is the top 5 because we had so many different moments on each of our reporters that, I mean, we could do a top 5 for everybody in the crew, but we have 5 nonetheless. And let's start with this, one of our most viewed moments of the year, the Bundy Ranch.
All right, push these people back up off the gate. Push them back up off the gate. We're going to work to release these cattle. Listen to me. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to work with you, but I need you to back them up.
I understand what you're doing, and you will get that time.
Okay. We're not playing. I know, I get that. But can we push them back up off the gate for right now? Let me work with you and you. I'll allow you two to come in with me. You come with me. You're not getting arrested. You got my word that no one's taking you custody. If you want to stay there, that's great. They're getting your dad on top.
Do your thing.
No, they're getting your dad on top.
We'll make sure that
your dad's going to need some help if they decide that they're going to pull those pins. But it's only going to be Bundy and his son.
No,
that's it.
It's the people or not, and you guys need to leave.
Okay.
You need to leave. That's the
term. I'm telling you, you need to de-escalate the situation. I'm imploring upon you responsibility to de-escalate.
The West has never been won!
And for you guys who don't recall what exactly happened at the Bundy Ranch, Clive Bundy, the rancher, they want to call him a welfare rancher, even though they give corporate welfare to all these other corporate entities, whatever. But Mr. Bundy, he was out there, he was grazing his cattle on lands out there, and they said, you can't have your cattle out here, Mr. Bundy, and not only can you not have them out here because you're not paying your fines and fees, but you're endangering the tortoise population, which was completely bogus because, as we know, the cow droppings were benefiting the tortoises out there because they ate the cow droppings. And then the BLM, in their infinite wisdom, decided to kill Mr. Bundy's cattle by going out there, shooting them, and throwing them into a ditch. But they claim that they are the environmental heads, so to speak. But, you know, that's how they do it out there in Bundyland. So let's move on to something else. Now, this is something very unusual to our audience and made us all stop and reflect on what things are going on in our country when we saw the Satanist Black Mass.
But I think something more important than me is going on. It seems like those friendly Christians are not being so friendly, so.
You want to be loud! You want to be loud! On this day of victory, Christian blood will soak these battlefields!
Do it on drugs! Get do it on sex! Jesus was a man! Not a deity! He was a man who figured out the eye! Read your book, because it's all in your book! It's in your book! If thine eye be single,
We're not going to sit down and let people take what is most sacred to us and trample it underfoot. Just talking about some free expression or right to assemble or whatever is really just a subterfuge. They have speech codes at Harvard like everywhere else. And if they can't recognize this as the same kind of hate speech that they routinely shut down when it is from groups of a traditionalist bent, then they really have no business talking about hate speech as a principle at all.
Well, the reason I'm here is to make sure that the actual message of the so-called adversary, Satan means enemy, I don't know if everyone knows that, but the so-called adversary is not actually what Satan's about. Satan's about love, kindness, acceptance, liberty, truth. Those are just 5 of the bullet points, the 5 points of the pentagram. See,
my God is Bast, the Egyptian god of war, and I just yesterday invited Jesus into my heart, which is a female Jesus, more scantily clad than a regular Jesus.
And as you can see, it's a great spiritual divide, as we had got comments from people from both sides of the fence. But yet, this is the question. Could this be another attempt by the mainstream media and the government to not only divide the American citizen politically and racially, but also spiritually as well? That's the question you might want to ask. And this is Dan Badandi for the Infowars Nightly News.
And that's why we have a First Amendment in this country, because even if you disagree with somebody's stance or point of view, you can argue your counterpoint. Now let's talk about something that I personally attended. This was Ferguson, Missouri. Of course, we know Michael Brown was shot by Officer Darren Wilson. There were some lootings, other things going on, a horrific experience of police brutality out there, police officers firing tear gas at peaceful protesters, rubber bullets, sound cannons, the whole 9. But that's not to say that everybody out there was on their worst behavior. There were good cops in the crowd and bad cops in the crowd. There were good people in the protester group and bad people in the protester group. And here's just a smattering of that exchange.
Thank you for cooperation thus far. We're asking for more. Please continue to move to your vehicles or to your homes.
Defend the Constitution.
Whoa, they threw it at the news. Well, I'm news too, but you know what I'm talking about.
We're moving.
Get out!
All right. Look, so they did it to the new media too.
Usher!
I got hit.
You got hit, bro? Hey, who do you guys work for?
Who do you work for? Work with Al Jazeera America.
Al Jazeera America. So they popped smoke at Al Jazeera America.
Did you get hit with a rubber bullet? They fired a rubber bullet at us. And then tear gas.
They tear gassed Al Jazeera America. Joe Biggs got shot with a rubber bullet. Now I'm running down the street. Man, quit shooting at me! Quit shooting at me! You see they shooting at us. You see that?
As you can see behind me right now, they're riot police, linked armed, probably 60 to 70 armed personnel with tanks and armored vehicles behind them. They are ready to push through the town of Ferguson and completely lock it down. What is that? That's martial law. That's going to happen across our entire nation because our government doesn't care. They want to take our guns and our rights. Look, the police are getting very aggressive. They are trying to come across the bridge and start shooting. This is crazy. This is what America has to look forward to if they do not wake up. Listen to me. Wake up. Stop sitting on your couch and being lazy. This kind of stuff can come to your town and happen in a second. Know your rights, know what you're able to do as an American, and stand up for that right.
After their exhaustive review of the evidence, the grand jury deliberated over 2 days, making their final decision. They determined that no probable cause exists to file any charge against Officer Wilson.
There you go.
No true bill.
No probable cause. Did we really expect that we're going to find something else when the government investigates itself?
I'm just asking for peace. I'm just asking everyone to be, thoughtful and think of the family.
Now, we've been here since last Friday. It's Wednesday now, and tonight We've gotten the first word that there was a protest going on. We are on South Florissant Avenue. To my right is the Ferguson Fire Department, and to my left is the police department. All right, so here we go. They are blocking traffic, and the police will be forced to come out here.
Move up. Move up. Come on, sir. I'm not standing in the street, though. Don't come up behind us. All right, so now the police are arresting people in the street. Look at that.
This last officer out here, okay? So this right here. Thank you.
Screw the police, they failed us again. Screw the whole judicial system. I hope the city burns.
There is zero police presence.
More gunshots. You guys hear that one? Yes. Yeah, I can't even tell. Firefighters had to pull out of here because they were having people shooting at them. They even left the fire hoses. That's how quick they left.
I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com. This is the hours after the announcement that Darren Wilson was not going to be indicted. As you can see, buildings on West Florissant are just up in flames. There have been shots all night, just people shooting off guns from the crowd. I mean, from where I am right now, I can feel the heat coming from that building as it burns to the ground. This has been a crazy night. This far surpasses the chaos that happened in August.
Got people that are breaking in, and a lot of people were not even from the community. Breaking in, they were actually, it was no respect for Mike Brown's family. There was no love for Mike Brown's family. It was actually an opportunity in a bad economy to go get a lot of stuff for free. And as a result of that, I think it just turned into a big mess.
You a sellout.
How so?
And you put that on Alex Infowars.
I'm still asking you how I'm a sellout.
You a sellout. You don't love black people.
How you gonna say I don't
Alex,
love
your boy today called black people terrorists.
One of the most heartbreaking things I saw last night were the firefighters out here at the beginning of the night trying to put these fires out and then being told they had to be pulled back because the fire truck was taking fire. They were shooting at the fire truck.
Fire truck shot. Terrorists attempt to kill firefighters.
Are black people terrorists?
Somebody who burned down a building.
You freaking sellout.
It don't matter what color you are.
Go back to your vehicles. We need to return home now. Leave Ferguson, Missouri. This is an unlawful assembly. Refusal to leave. And you will be subject to arrest.
I'm just asking for peace.
And while we were experiencing the domestic arms buildup on American streets, the U.S. border was left wide open.
The feds have issued a terror alert and believe an attack by the terrorist group ISIS is imminent on or before September 11th, the 13th anniversary of the worst attack on American soil. Infowars investigates just miles from the center of El Paso, Texas, where we were able to cross the river from Mexico into America. Thousands of other than Mexicans cross our borders from over 75 different countries. Infowars has shown you time and time again that our borders are intentionally left unsecured, and now these ISIS psychopaths are ready to strike at targets on American soil. We know our government has created and funded ISIS, so whether or not this is a real threat or a false flag, the globalists are now one step closer to their endgame, stripping us of all our liberties. So we dress up like an ISIS jihadi to be as obvious as possible, to show and to illustrate just how wide open the border really is.
Thank you, Obama, for leaving your southern borders open so ISIS can terrorize America. ISIS thanks you, President Obama. We claim this land for Sharia law.
It's very surprising to see that, especially with all the national security talk we've heard since 9/11. And while 9/11 first responders are banned from ceremonies, we welcome their views here on Infowars.com.
I'm Leanne McAdoo with Infowars.com, reporting here from Times Square. I am standing next to Rudy Dent. He's a 32-year veteran of the New York City Fire Department. He's worked as well with the New York City Police Department. And you retired right after 9/11. He was there on 9/11. He saw World Trade Center Tower 7 come down. Rudy, tell us about what happened that day.
Well, I was off that day, and I received a call at home, and I got to see both buildings come down on TV. I jumped on my motorcycle. I did about 120 miles an hour across the Tappan Zee. I reported to my firehouse, and then I got my gear. A bunch of us got together. We commandeered a mail truck, and we made our way down to the site. At that time, Building 7 was still up. I saw Building 7 come down. My fellow firefighters who were there, they did that involuntary jerk when a loud explosion goes off. You know, you can't help it, and they did. I'm a Vietnam veteran too, so I kind of didn't jump like they did, but there was an explosion. The building did come down in complete classical controlled demolition. It came down on its own footprint. There's no question about that. As a matter of fact, Richard Gage from Architects and Engineers has completely handled that from his area of expertise. Let me say this. In the New York City Fire Department, as I said, I had 32 years there. I was a chauffeur, and I was also a trained fire marshal. A fire marshal is considered an expert witness in court. He's like a forensic detective. He has the power to administer the oath, take testimony, and issue a subpoena. That's a lot of power. And he's a highly trained investigative person in his area of expertise, in arson. And we have no term that I know of that says pulling buildings. That's not our area of expertise. We've never done that. We don't do that. So for him to say that, I don't know where he pulled that out of, but it's just not part of our operations, okay?
Right, so the fire department doesn't have the training to pull a building, to demo a building like that.
We're not trained to do that. We've never done that in my 32 years. I know of no evolution whatsoever that does that.
And then talk to me a little bit, obviously, as a professional in the fire department for 30 plus years, they're saying that blaming it on office fires, just a few office fires.
Well, if it wasn't so serious a situation, that would be completely laughable. That is ridiculous. First of all, our guys were up there. They were calling for additional hand lines to mop up the isolated pockets of fire. And let me just explain one thing. Never in the history of the world, never in the history of high-rise skyscrapers has ever a skyscraper ever come down because of fire. And I'm talking massive fire. And you know the reason why? Because fire does not burn by itself hot enough to compromise and melt steel. What we had in the World Trade Center, and I saw myself, was molten lava-like pockets of molten steel. All right, I spent the night on the pile searching for bodies, and I saw that with my own eyes. So who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe a bunch of government bureaucrats or my fellow brothers, which I lost 343 guys that day? And I lost Tommy O'Hagan, Bruce Van Hines, and Kenny Kumpel. And I can never forget that. I think of that before I go to bed. I think about it the first thing in the morning when I wake up. And it's in honor of them and their family that I will continue to do everything I can to make the rest of the world wake up to the fact that this was a false flag operation.
And there were so many other great reports, videos, and articles that we couldn't show them all, but you can find our full catalog by going to the Alex Jones channel on YouTube, Infowars.com, and also PrisonPlanet.tv. So stay tuned after this break for more special reports.
Every year we make resolutions to lose weight and get in shape. And the truth is, it's hard, even with diet and exercise, because of toxic food and our environment that is stressing our bodies more than ever before. Working with experts in nutrition and biochemistry, I found that super high-quality nutraceuticals, in addition to my diet and exercise, were the answers that synergistically worked. I could see the drastic changes every day with the amount of weight I've lost, my increased stamina, and more of a twinkle in my eye. That's why we are now so excited to launch the Infowars Life Resolution Pack, combining 3 essential formulations: oxygen-based cleanser Oxy Powder, the Secret 12 bioavailable vitamin B12, and your choice of super female or super male vitality. Now all available at a discounted price to you and your family to bring in the new year and make 2015 a true success. That's InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. 2015 is the year to do it, and it all starts at InfoWarsLife.com.